it's Allie, and today we are starting a new project. We are going to create an outdoor weather-resistant chalkboard for the kids. Not sure if I'm going to frame it yet or put it on the ground, put it on the fence, but this is our start. So first and foremost, I wanted to go over some of the products and supplies that you are going to need to create your chalkboard. First things first, some of these may or may not apply to you depending on where you're putting yours, how much moisture it's going to see. We get a lot of rain here, so I went ahead and chose to use like a cement edge guard. It's basically a cement board. It's not that heavy, and it does have some give. I don't know if you can see, one side is kind of rough and the other is smooth. So the smooth side is the one that we are going to use for our surface for the kids to draw on. However, I'm going to start by painting the back first so that it can dry. When I do handle it and turn it over, if I get any smudges, it's going to be on the back side. So, yeah, you can get one of these for like 12 bucks. Like I said, this is a 3x5 Home Depot. Any local hardware store, you're going to be able to find them. Hi, Mia. This is my most grateful Princess Mia. She's the front yard queen. I'm going to need you to go this way. Thank you. Okay. Next thing. So, I have a bucket and a roller grate. Now, the amount of paint that I'll be using to cover this is not a lot, but I still want to mix it up in here so that I make sure it gets mixed really good and that I can apply a nice even coat. You may choose not to use this. I think it's going to be easier. We'll find out. Most importantly, you are going to need paint. This is not a chalkboard paint that says chalkboard paint. They sell them and they're for indoor use. It will not be weather resistant and it will not be waterproof. This is Rust-Oleum's Ultra Cover Latex Flat Black. It must be latex and it must be flat and it must be able to be used outdoors. So this is both. You can use it indoors or outdoors. I just got a quart. I don't think we'll probably even use it all. I mean, this is a pretty small board. If we run out, I guess we'll get more. But yeah, so latex, flat, outdoor, exterior is another word, paint. You can use any color you'd like, I suppose. I don't know what will happen when we add some of these other products to it. This is our first go around. And I wanted to go with a kind of more traditional, like black or gray chalkboard, since most of the colors that they color with are the pastels. Okay, next thing, unsanded grout. It is a powder. It'll say right on there, non-sanded or unsanded, and you'll find it close to like the primers and stuff like that at the hardware store. They're usually going to have a color on them. Now, this may tint your paint. So, ideally, you would like to get something that is close to your paint color. Of course, when I got to the store today, the only thing they had was linen, which is kind of beige, or bright white. So, I chose linen. I don't know what it's going to do to my color. We'll find out. Can't be that bad. Long as it's a chalkboard, I'll be happy. So this unsanded grout, it's like somewhere between $5 and $7 you can find it. We're gonna need some of that. Sandpaper, 150 grit, it's pretty fine. This is 3M. You can buy whatever kind you want, just make sure it's 150 grit. This is a paintbrush, optional. I'm going to do the edges and all the way completely around my board. since it is going to be outside and seeing more water than most people's would. Like I said, I encourage you to cover the whole board, not just one side, if you want it to be really durable. And I thought the paintbrush would come in handy, getting in those little cracks and crevices until I decide if we're going to put a border on it, if I'm going to maybe Dremel or sand that down. Not sure yet. Handy dandy pocket knife, you never know when you're going to need it. Roller, I'm going to roll the paint on. I'm not going to do a brush. That'll take forever. I like things like instant gratification. Now, depending on the size of your board, you may or may not want a roller extension. If you want to stand and do it laying down and flip it over, that's our plan, so I'm going to use this today. A roller, I bought the cheapest one that I could possibly find. I don't think you need anything fancy. Like I said, we're just slapping some paint on this and we're going to see how it goes. Hammer and flathead. Or you can use the real tool, which is like the paint key to open your can. I can't find mine, so I have this and my hammer to close my paint back up in case that I don't use it all. I don't know if it will stay stable or if you can use it again. I will look into that and add it in once I find that information at the end of the video. And then I brought myself some plastic spoons because I can't find my stirring stick that came with my paint, and I want to make sure that when we mix all this stuff together, it's really, really well mixed. And I don't want to make a mess with stuff inside my kitchen. Fair enough. Last thing, measuring spoon. We are going to have to measure out this unsanded grout, and I want to make sure that I'm precise. So just make sure you wash this off really good when you're done. And I think that about covers everything except my tarp. Do what you do, but I don't want my boyfriend to come home and find that the grass is black. So I just took this big roll of like black tarping. You can use a trash bag, you use a paint drop cloth. You could go without it, whatever your style is. Okay, so I've got my supplies ready to go. Rollers set up, paintbrush is out, paint is here. Unsanded grout, those are the first things we're going to need. I'm going to start by flipping over my board so that I can do the rough side first. Then I am going to take our paint. I have a quart, so that's 4 cups, and every cup gets 2 tablespoons of unsanded grout. So I'm going to do a total of 8. And then we're going to mix that really, really good. And I'm going to go ahead and get the edges of my board with my paintbrush, and then we are going to roll it out. Here goes nothing. edges, I rolled it out. I went back with my brush to just get some of the little tiny nooks and crannies that were hard to get with the roller. On second thought, I may have wanted to purchase maybe like a thicker nap. However, like I said, this is the back side. My biggest concern is getting it just covered with the exterior paint, not the drawing surface itself. So we're gonna give it some time to dry, and then we will flip it over. Okay, so it's been about an hour. It is dry to the touch, and we are going to flip it on over and begin the other side. I think I'm gonna do it a little bit different this time, just for saving time and paint. I'm gonna dump the remaining paint right onto my board and roll it out. So we will see how this goes, if this is a better method. I just don't want to waste any paint, and I want to be able to shake it up really good because I put it back in the can, and not lose paint in the transfer to the bucket. So let's see how this goes. Okay, y'all, so it's completely dry, and
How much longer the meatloaf got?
The meatloaf has about 15 minutes. It's completely dry, and I'm gonna put a second coat on it, both sides, just to make sure. I think it could use a little more waterproofing, so I gotta go get more paint. Make sure you read the directions very carefully on the back of your paint. They all have different curing times for recoating. Mine specifically says give it 2 to 4 hours at least, so it has been that, and I'm gonna go back and get more paint tomorrow, and we can tune back in and start our sanding. Okay, so I've got my final coat, second layer all the way around my board, and I just wanted to go over a little recap of some important things before we start sanding. So remember, 2 tablespoons to every cup of paint on the unsanded grout. Make sure that it's a latex flat paint for exterior use. Mix that really well. Obviously, read the directions on your specific paint for drying and recoating. All of them are going to be just a little bit different. Very important. I don't know if I mentioned, but in between my coats, I went ahead and dumped all of my paint that was in my bucket back into the can. It's gonna dry up if you leave it in the bucket for too long, especially if you've got a dry time of an hour or 2. I also made sure to rinse and wash all of my supplies and equipment really good. My roller, that way I could reuse it. My paintbrush so that it didn't get sticky. The paint grate that I use with the roller, even my bucket. I made sure in between all of those layers that they had been washed and were dried out in the sun. So make sure you take care of your equipment during this process, and I guess let's start sanding. Okay, so for this part of the project, the curing process, we're going to sand with the 150 grit sandpaper all the way across the front surface. Once that's done, we're gonna go ahead and rub chalk. So you're gonna need a piece of chalk on its side all the way across, and kind of just want to get it in all those grooves. And then once that's done, we wipe it down and it's cured and it's ready to be drawn on. If you come across any spots that are not fully dry from your paint, I would avoid them and come back to it, give it some extra time. So here goes nothing. Let's give it a shot. So this is our final product. We went ahead and drilled it straight onto our fence. Think I'm gonna leave it without the border. I like the way it looks. The kids can reach it. We went ahead and fastened some baskets for toys and art supplies up high so the goats can't get them. And Selah is breaking it in.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah, what are you spelling?
My name? Wait. Okay, that's better.
Good job.